Hi, hello everyone. I'm Shaheen, and just to give you a brief introduction of myself, so I've been in Leapfrog for the last 3+ years, and in the time that I am in the company, I've worked with several clients from healthcare, edutech, fitness and wellness projects. And the scales also have varied, so that way it's been pretty interesting, the whole journey. So just to now just going to get right to the topic. So as I say, we'll be talking about design thinking 101. Not sure if everybody is familiar with this term or not, but I will be taking you guys through the entire process, what this is about, how this is helpful in the UI UX perspective. And after I give you guys give you a walkthrough of what this is in detail, we can have a question answer session at the end. So having said that, hope you guys are able to take away, have key takeaways at the end of this session. And so yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let's talk about it end of the presentation. So I'll just start now. Okay, so as our sessions will be divided into 3 parts. पहिला चाहिँ I will just give you a brief understanding of what design thinking is, and then I will take you through the 5 steps of design thinking, and then at the end we'll have question answer. So in terms of design thinking, why design thinking, and why is it important in especially UI UX one? That's design thinking is a process that we use in order to conduct our UI UX process. So there are 5 steps that I just talked about. And that is a process that we follow so that we can solve a problem in the best possible way. I know. So now to give you a formal definition of what design thinking is a user-centered, human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for business success. So there are, as you see, there are 4 components that basically make up design thinking. I know. So this is so a formal definition by Tim Brown, who is the CEO of Ideation. To break it down simply, to simplify the entire definition, is design thinking is a user-centered problem-solving approach which is backed up by data. So there are 3 keywords that are highlighted here, right, Noili? So I will take you through what each of the keywords mean, right? And we will delve into much more detail regarding each topic, each subtopic. But I'll just give you an overview of what this means. So design thinking is a user-centered. So what does user-centered mean? Now, user-centered means it's user-focused. हामीले चाहिँ जो हाम्रो युजर हो, हाम्रो target audience हो, उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ फोकसमा राखेर we try to see the problem that they are facing. So contact means that we basically, it means we come in contact with the users, which is either through interviews, either through observation. So that's how we come in contact with the user. Second is we observe. What is it that the problems that they're facing? We observe their body language. We observe their difficulties that they face while trying to solve that problem. And we try and empathize with them. We try and we put ourselves in their shoes so that we can understand the problem better. Therefore, we can solve the problem for them. So this is what user-centered means. Now, problem solving. So what is problem solving? So after we understand what the user is going through, what is their problem, there are the problems can vary in large number of scale, which can be very easy also and can be very complex and difficult also. So the way we can derive to the problem is by understanding what the user needs. And the last thing is that we back it up by data. The reason why we back it up by data is so that हामीलाई नै सजिलो होस्, हामीलाई नै it's easy for us to understand. So how we do that is by interviews. We most often than not, I mean, saying one-on-one interview, gonna we try and do that physically. If not, virtually, I mean, we do interviews. Then we test. Testing means that we give them maybe few situational problems, I know, so that we see how are they trying to how do they approach that problem. So then for us, it gives us much clarity into how we should move forward, Vanuna. And after we have data in our hand, this what is we analyze. We document it usually on Excel. I know Excel sheets my document gorera. So we try and analyze the data. And then after that, we come to a clear point of view, a conclusive point of view. I mean, now we know that, okay, your data, your problem, now, let's move forward to solve it, Bonero. That's how we move forward. So this is overall understanding of what design thinking is. Now, yes, Pachize, now I will take you through the 5 steps of design thinking. Okay, so there are 5 steps of design thinking. Let's empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. So I'll just give you one line of what this really means, these stages means. Moving forward, I will definitely get into the details of Horik stage. So empathize, again, as I told you, Agi, empathize means user ko shoes ma basera, we try and understand their problem, understand where they're coming from, understand what is it that they really need. This what is after we understand the problem, then we define it, and defining we have a clear picture, we have a problem statement as to, okay, it's a problem, now let's try and solve this one. We move ahead. Now ideate we come up with several limitless solutions. We come up with that. Brainstorming it's ideation. So you got that saying, we end up having a bank of different possibilities, different solution channels. It's easier for us to decide which is the path we can go forward to. So after we decide we have like 5 options, we will go with the second options for XYZ reason. We will then make a prototype, which is usually Figma ma garda hunchau, Sketch ma garda hunchau. So we basically create mobile app ho ki, desktop app ho ki, tablet ho ki, depending on what is it that is required. त्यो हामी बनाउँछौँ. So after we make a prototype of the application, the mobile or web application, त्यसपछि चाहिँ हामीले test गर्छौँ. This testing is usually done with the target audience. Target audience हामीसँग नभए पनि we have we approach similar people who could be our target audience, and we test it with them. त्यसरी गर्दा हुन्छ हामी. So how we do this is through this process called double diamond. So double diamond भनेको चाहिँ as you can see, there are 2 diamonds here. First मा चाहिँ जब हामी empathize गर्छौँ, empathize मा चाहिँ we diversify our data collecting, we diversify our problem space. We do not restrict to certain we don't limit ourselves into problems, solutions. We don't think of that. We go as wide as possible. And then after that, as you can see, the define matse, it's converging. So now after we have ample of problem statements in our hand, I mean, it's a converge garera, we try and come to one problem statement, so that the define garna sajilos. Now after we define sakepachi, again we ideate again we diversify. Why? So that we have enough of exploration in our hand, so that we are not stopped by anything. So again we diversify. And then after we diversify and come down to a few inspiration mood borders, so then we have an understanding of how we want the application to be. This what is design garera, we prototype into one application, and the application test person. So this is a ongoing process. This does not stop at one point. You got the till the time we keep refining it, till the time we think that, okay, like we've come to a good position, that this is an ongoing process. Now empathize. So empathize मा चाहिँ again पहिला भनेको जस्तै there's contact, हामी observe गर्छौँ अनि empathize गर्छौँ. Contact मा चाहिँ we engage, हामी interact गर्छौँ client हाम्रो user target audienceहरुसँग, we interview with them, we understand their stories, we talk to them basically, so that we have an understanding of where they're coming from. observe मा चाहिँ we observe their behavior, we basically observe their body language, and we try and gauge from their way of thinking, the way of doing, कि उनीहरूले चाहिँ कसरी त्यो प्रब्लमलाई चाहिँ अहिले सल्भ गरिरहेछ. You know, it could be right, wrong, that's a different thing, that we just observe without any judgment as much as possible. And त्यसपछि चाहिँ we put ourselves in their shoes, we try and think from their perspective, their peer view, so that हामी by the end, when we come out with a possible solution, हामीले चाहिँ उनीहरूलाई राखेर उनीहरूको लागि नै हेल्प बेनिफिट हुन्छ भनेर we that is the whole scope or goal, that हामी चाहिँ पछि चाहिँ गएर we bring out the best possible solution for them. So त्यसको लागि चाहिँ we have to do these few things, you know. Okay, now beginner's mindset. So यसमा चाहिँ these are just few tips for beginners. उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ these tips will come handy to you when you're trying to observe your user, trying to empathize with them, trying to talk to them, you know. So we always we are open-minded, we try and be non-judgmental. So त्यो हुँदा चाहिँ it's easier for us to gather. We are open to as many observations as we can get, भनौँ न. And then we don't assume anything at this point. Always हामी observe मात्रै गर्ने हो, हेर्ने मात्रै हो, and understand मात्रै गर्ने हो. So and then eventually we're empathizing with them without judging them, you know. The next, so there are methods, you know. So there are so to do this, there are two methods we usually use: primary research and secondary research. So primary मा चाहिँ हामी interviews हरु लिन्छौँ, observation हरु गर्छौँ, अनि surveys हरु लिन्छौँ, you know. Secondary मा चाहिँ the secondary, so primary research is more on one-on-one with the user, whereas secondary research is more on the kind of research that we do maybe on the internet. That say we are not directly one-on-one with the user, तर पहिलाको case studyहरु बनिसकेको हुन्छ होला, yeah, there is already comparative analysis based on the same problem that we are looking. त्यो भनेको मतलब चाहिँ I'm sure we assume that there are other brands, there are other companies who have already try and solve the same problem that we are trying to solve. So हामी त्यो research गर्छौँ, हैन. So I will get into अलिकति more detail on this. So interview मा चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ we listen actively, we ask as much open-ended questions as we can, so that हामीले हाम्रो userले answers हरु दिने, they are as vast and as varied as possible, भनौँ न. If we ask very limited questions, then answer पनि limited नै आउँछ. Limited questions and narrow questions भनेको चाहिँ yes or no answer आयो भने चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ अलिकति it's more limiting on our end, whereas asking an open-ended question चाहिँ हामीलाई सजिलो हुन्छ to understand, हैन. Then observation, as I told you again, we observe their how are they using the application, how are they trying to solve it, you know. So we observe them without judging, without having without presuming things beforehand, you know. I mean, that's how we do it. And then survey. So after all of this, I mean, usually survey चाहिँ questionnaire बनाएर we send a survey out to our users. So त्यहाँबाट पनि अझ data आउन सकोस्, हैन, so that we can collect more data. And case studies, as I told you before, are things that I'm online ma या library मा पाइरा हुन्छ. So case studies हरु चाहिँ पढ्ने, research गर्ने, हेर्ने, how our competitors are doing it, what are the mistakes they made, what is the loophole they have, how did they what is it that they how did they succeed or fail at the same problem, भनौँ न, the same case study, त्यो त्यसरी हेर्ने. Then as I said पहिला, different companies, how are they doing it? So यसरी हामी एउटा competitive analysis गर्दा चाहिँ हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुन्छ कि you know यो companyले XYZ राम्रो कुरा गर्यो, तर XYZ they could have improved on. So maybe that's our chance to make those things better, हैन. So त्यसरी चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ we get more data, and data पाउँदा चाहिँ it's easier for us to also make decisions, भनौँ न. Yeah, make decisions also, and to convince your team members, your stakeholders, the person who's managing, let's say, on this project. It's easier to convince them, and instead of saying, oh, Malai, I think that you for this problem XYZ solution is the best way, banda pani. That's a more subjective way to say. But if we could say that your problem ko lai bhanum na Google le यसरी गरिरहेछ, Apple le यसरी गरिरहेछ, so that is why I think हामी पनि यसरी गर्यो भने maybe this could be the most viable solution भन्दा चाहिँ that is easier to convince your managers, your stakeholders, and your team members also. So after we do that first round of research, now we have an understanding of हामीले चाहिँ के solve गर्नु पर्ने हो, what is it that the problems that the user is facing. Now we have a basic understanding of that भनौँ न. So after we have that headspace in mind, अब चाहिँ we define the problem, so define मा चाहिँ now we find the major pain points. Userहरूले चाहिँ what is it that they're actually really facing, so we try and note it down, we document as a documentation के part आउँछ. And this, I would say, out of all the stages, this is one of the most important stage. If your stage if we are not able to, the first two stages if we are not able to identify the user pain points and the problems properly, whatever we make, our website, our application, it might not succeed, because if our problem statements is not correct, so that it might fail. So this is a very, very important stage in the design thinking process. So methods. Our methods we combine and we categorize data. We have point of view statements, and then we also have how might we questions and vote and pick. Right? So there are the four methods. It's not necessary that sabai method sabai harik situation may use garnu parcha bhanne chaina, tara herera we use the best method for that situation. So I will now take you through harik method. So combine and categorize data. What does that mean? So it means that in a team there are, let's say, 4 or 5 people. Harik manchele, they have their own findings. They have their own findings means they have their own research. They have their own data that they have collected through the methods that I talked about agi. Through interviews, through online research or herera, we collect findings, we collect data for ourselves. And after we have these data in our hand, combine we make one problem. Harik person, they make one problem statement. So your problem statement then every team we have 1-2 problem statements. So then moving forward, so now after we have data, so this is usually how we try and combine. So what did this person say, or what did this person do, and or in the emotions, what is this, what did these people feel, so or summarize हाम्रो data, so that हामी summarize गर्दा चाहिँ हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुन्छ अगाडि बढ्न, so what did she say? So these are just examples. So when my child does not eat food, I usually do a Google search to see if I find any useful tips. So this is what she feels, this is what she does. Now what did she do? She typed specific keywords, and then she read an article as to the useful tips. And then what did she feel your time? She felt overwhelmed. The articles bio. Yeah, she felt doubtful that harik articles there are different suggestions. So best tip so we analyze data like this. Then after that, so point of view statement so there's a user, the user ko a need huncha, and the need ko a goal huncha. So I will now take you through the key example. This is how we make a statement out of the data. So for example, there's a mother called Sita, and she needs to find a way to find reliable resource of information for her queries, because she wants to take care of her child confidently. So Sita is a user. Her need is, what is a need? That she needs reliable information. Why? What is a goal? Because she wants to take care of her child. So this is the goal. The need is that information she needs, and the user is Sita. So we make a statement out of this. So your statement that need ke ho, goal ke ho, we try and take out the problem. So the problem is that there is not enough information available, so for in this statement. So and then how might we questions how might we, so how we always assume that there is a way out of any problem. We assume, and then might means we assume that there are other ideas as well, so there are other solutions as well. And we is a teamwork. I'm usually we hardly work in isolation. We often work in teamwork. We often have a team that does that plan that completes a project भनौँ न. So that is why. So this how might we question ले चाहिँ again we there it is a way to find out, to state problems, I know. Now how might we, these are just examples, how might we provide reliable information to users health queries, how might we ease the process of entering information for patient history and queries, and how might we represent the suggestions and answers in a digestible way. I know, so these are just questions that we form so that hamlai pani think garna it's much more easy, it's much more organized, so that as a team we are able to focus on the same problem, the same direction. Right? So now there are a few examples as to how might we statements or do's and don'ts. Very broad pan hunu bhaina, very narrow pan hunu bhaina, and definitely it cannot be not user centered, because user centered chaina bhane then we are definitely not solving a problem that the user for the user, right? So broad. So in terms of broad, so how might we increase website traffic? So this is a very broad statement. यसमा चाहिँ broad when the statement is too broad, then hamro key findings, hamro answers will also turn out to be very vague, and we don't want that. Whereas we also don't want it to be too narrow as to say, how might we make the CTA button green? This is very narrow. This is something that does not give us space to really think and explore. But how might we ensure that the CTA button is visible? One that it gives us that exact room, that perfect room where we can where we can solve this problem in a practical way, and it leads to definitive answers, which is what we want. Now, how might we ensure the workplace space is silent? One that this is not a very user centered, because the user is not really in focus. The environment is in focus. So that is not what we want. We want the user to be in focus. And how might we ensure our staffs not distracted by noises? I know. So this again is user centered. This is perfect because the user is in focus. It's not very broad. It's not too narrow also. So now we have a good playing ground to think of solutions. I know. So now after we have made these problem statements, so as a team, we always as a team we work. So now as a team, we choose which is the best statement, which is the best question that we should solve. So vote and pick Gorera, then we pick the one that has majority vote. Now, after we pick that question, this party say now what we do is that we have a question to solve. So अब document गर्न थाल्छौँ. We now get into the whole process of finding out what our user is like. So user persona भनेको चाहिँ your right hand side मा यो देख्नु भयो भने this is the user persona. So यसमा चाहिँ who is our user, who is our target audience, what is the demographic भन्दाले age के हो, कहाँ काम गर्नुहुन्छ, where are they located, family मा को छ, what is their personality types, goal के हो उनीहरूको, frustrations, what makes them frustrated regarding that problem, motivation के हो, so these things are things we write it down, we document it so that हामीलाई पनि बुझ्न सजिलो होस्. See what is our user all about. Now, empathy map भनेको चाहिँ it's this one, यो वाला. यसमा चाहिँ basically what this user does, says, thinks, and feels. So this is more on the emotional cognitive side. So यो बुझ्दा चाहिँ it's easier for us to understand उनीहरूको चाहिँ what are their feelings, what are their emotions regarding that problem. So त्यो बुझ्दा चाहिँ again we are able to get a better understanding of the user, better understanding of who our user is. Then storyboarding, journey map. So journey map भनेको चाहिँ it's a journey from the time the user भनौँ न, let's say I'll give you an example, from the time the user opens a mobile app till the time the user buys XYZ thing on that app. So suppose I've opened the Amazon app, I have logged in, I have entered that application, and I want to buy a hat, a summer hat. So I buy, purchase it, and the product मेरो घरमा पनि आयो रे हैन. So that's the whole journey. The journey मा चाहिँ so we यसरी गरेर चाहिँ we track, we document the journey so that हरेक step मा चाहिँ के हो उनीहरूको कसरी गाह्रो भयो कसरी सजिलो भयो where is it that we can really make the experience for our user better भनेर चाहिँ we have a better understanding हैन so because हरेक स्टेपमा चाहिँ we have understood or we are trying to understand what is it that हाम्रो युजरहरूले चाहिँ कस्तो खालको प्रब्लम्स दे फेस रहेछ हैन सो त्यसरी बुझ्दा चाहिँ it's easier for us to understand instead of just overview मात्रै बुझ्दा चाहिँ हामी भित्रभित्रको कुराहरू चाहिँ we tend to miss out हैन and storyboarding is also very very similar but this is more like हाम्रो कमिकहरुको जस्तो के सो हामी स्केच गर्छौं हामीले चाहिँ स्टेप बाइ स्टेप उनीहरुको बुझ्छौं तर it's more pictorial compared to something like this हैन okay so next so after we have all of this information in our hand so this is all the data let's take this as our data now we have the data in our hand user ko problem ke ho possible solutions we have an idea that it's not very clear but we do have an idea now after this now we ideate so your phase we can go as limitless as possible we can go as open as possible we try and not hold ourselves back we try and come up with solutions that actually may not even be feasibly possible but then we still generate ideas like that because like this two ideas generate it's then we have a big pool of ideas in front of us and then it's easy for us to make the best decision so brainstorming sessions are usually always time bound because I'm time bound now then it can lead to productive because then there's a lot of more than time expected even time in our hand so we have a time bound session quality quantity is what we focus on so as many ideas so the goal for this session is that there's really no bad idea we don't really judge each other your phase because we all know that let's say idea generate is what is more necessary we generate as much ideas as we possibly can this so यसमा चाहिँ method चाहिँ brainstorming sessions भयो comparative analysis भयो then after we have these brainstorming sessions सकेपछि हैन then हरेक मान्छेको idea like one person can have 2-3 ideas and other person can have 2 ideas so हरेक ideas को then we think of possible solutions हैन so solution के हुन सक्छ हैन every person will think of a solution for that problem statement and your brainstorming sessions as I said before we have a lot of fun we stay focused time bound we tend to we are focused I mean judge gardenam ek arkalai we don't feel afraid to fail we keep ideating we don't stop doing that we always look for quantity I mean comparative analysis is the same as before we again we do more research as to then we vote for the solution so now we have lots of ideas so as a team we sit and we vote for solutions so then the best solution gets picked and we move forward with that so now hamsanga problem pani bhayo hamsanga aba solution pani bhayo so now we have answers to our questions the problem statements that we formed paila we have answers to that now so now paila statement was how might we provide reliable information to users health queries so the possible answers are improved AI for better output connect the people with actual doctor instead of AI QA forums from doctors doctor certified blogs or articles easy in access to doctor not only queries but necessary can book the doctor so these are few examples that answers that we have to the questions that we had formed paila and out of these answers then we pick the best solution out of these solutions we pick the best solution so now after this you sabai ideate garepachi चाहिँ we have a list of ideas we also have a probable journey to manchi to user ko journey ke ho and we have quick wireframe sketches as to what is it that we are looking at and what is it that ideas kasari present garne is that quick sketches these don't have to be perfect or at all these are just sketches that we make sorry The next, then after that say we prototype. So now we get into the defining our application, mobile and desktop application. We get into building that, you know, because we already have done the previous course of the basic research and now we are going to design. Now we are going to create. When soon we are no more, we're past the researching and ideating phase. So यसमा चाहिँ we build a interactive product. यसमा चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ किन we make an interactive product is so that हाम्रो users they can interact with our product, and then they can give us you know, their view, their point of view, so that it's easy for us to ideate better, to refine, and when we make a prototype, that is a very feasible, easy, chitto way of validating with our users. So we make the prototype as realistic as possible. So there are two types of prototype. One is low fidelity, one is high fidelity. So low fidelity, these are sketches. These are things that we more often than not do it on pen and paper. You know, we don't go to the computer yet. हामीले brainstorm गर्छौं, लेख्छौं, we ideate, we sketch, होइन. And then त्यसपछि चाहिँ we after we have a basic understanding of हाम्रो चाहिँ हाम्रो application कसरी अगाडि बढिरहेछ, we make a यसरी black and white version of our prototype. We don't really add color, we don't define it by color, icons, you know. I mean, it's mostly just skeleton bonds. So this is that, you know. And after we have an idea of or after we validate with our user, one round of validation गरेपछि, then they also have an understanding of कसरी application बनिरहेछ, what is it that we can still improve better. Then after that, one round of all of that feedback, we build a high fidelity. Now we add colors, we add a branding, our logo, सबै add गरेर we make it a fully functional prototype, you know. And then त्यसपछि चाहिँ we make it clickable, we make it interactive, so that our user can understand how is it their application running, how is it that our application will work. They have a better understanding once they see it in full form and flesh. So now after this, we tested with our users. Now we tested kinabhane, so that हाम्रो validation ko लागि, so that we can quickly refine, we can make it better again and again, so that we tested with our users. Now how do we test? Now there are a few methods that we use to test: concept testing, A/B testing, usability testing, and beta testing. So these four, the first four is usually done with a close group of people who could or are our target audience. And monitoring and analysis is mainly आजकल we get softwares like full story and mix panel. This our website we can monitor it through these websites. So this much it gives us analysis as to कतिजना मान्छेले यो website, your page खोल्यो, your button click गर्यो, where did they get frustrated, where is it that in which part our page is taking a lot of time to load, you know. So these things say the full story and mixed panels, and there are other also these websites give us that analysis. So concept testing concept ideas we tested with the users, you know. And A/B testing is, so it's either, so we have two options, either this or that. I need this same, so again we do it with our target audience. That's it. I'm like saying they pick one of the options, you know. So like that we can get a better understanding of usability testing is my पहिला कुरा गरेको जस्तै हाम्रो चाहिँ interview गर्ने अनि उनीहरुलाई चाहिँ the mobile application नै चलाउन लगाउने अनि हामी चाहिँ we observe them and we document the observations, I know. This is probably one of the best ways to actually test with your product. That more often than not, you're going to pay around, you know, because in Leapfrog, our clients and their users are mostly in US, and very often than not, I mean, say you're going to pay around, you know. But there are, as I told you before, there are other ways also to do it. And our clients also do this for us, so that way it's easier for us to understand. अनि beta testing भनेको चाहिँ we release it and we let a very close group of people test this, test it with a close group of people so that again हामीलाई चाहिँ it's easier for us to understand. And as I told you agi, full story and your mixed panel ma चाहिँ we get यस्तो खालको data. It's all database जहाँ चाहिँ we can understand कि we have a better understanding of हाम्रो users चाहिँ कसरी चलाइरहेको छ. So these are all recorded. So हामी sessions play गरेर नै we can see that user पहिला भनौँ login मा आयो, त्यसपछि home page आयो, home page मा उसले यो बुझेन. So we can view all of this actually through these applications, and actually it's very, very helpful, if with the data that we see here. And it really helps us refine our process with such data. Now, what is next? After we do all of this, what is next? So next thing, we iterate again. So design thinking is never a linear process. So what do you mean by linear? Is that we start from point A and we end at point D. Hamro design thinking is not like that. After we empathize and define, we test गरेपछि पनि फेरि we define, we re-look at hamro solutions, hamro problems, and we again come up with different solutions. We prototype, we again test. So this is more, it's almost a never-ending process. We keep doing this again and again and again. Why? With the end goal of making hamro application better, making the user experience better, and making sure that we solve hamro user pain points. So that is our final goal that we try to solve. So which is why we don't ever have this notion that this is it, and our solutions or our application is perfect, our solutions are all there done. We never feel like that. We have to always keep going back again and again and doing this. So this is pretty much it in terms of the design thinking flow and the steps. And this is something that we use harek project ma, harek time ma. We have to do any task, any project. This is something that we do always, and this has really helped us. This really makes sure that we follow the process, because it's very easy to just easy to go on Figma or Sketch and design something and then show it to the client. It's very, very easy to do that, but actually following this process, it requires you to go back again and again and rethink and refine. So त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ हाम्रो entire process becomes much more smoother, and it's something that makes हाम्रो product at the end of the whole thing much better. So this is pretty much design thinking process. And so with that, I end Miro session here. But I would love to hear questions, and if you guys have anything that you guys want to ask me, I would love to address that. So Vivek, do we have questions listed?
Yep, Shaheen, we do have questions. So if you have still questions, you can drop them in the comments below. So the first question is from Sumesh. He asks that, is it a must for high fidelity prototype to follow up after the low fidelity one?
Yes, it is a must. Why is it a must? Because हाम्रो low fidelity prototype भनेको चाहिँ, as I said before, it's a skeleton of हाम्रो application. It is not हाम्रो fully functional of हाम्रो how our application would look like. It is not that, So हाम्रो high fidelity नबनायो भने चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने, most often than not हाम्रो clientहरू they are not from the design background, they are from the engineering background, they are from the managerial background, so they do not understand design the way we do, the way a designer does, so we have to explain it from their point of view. Suppose I show a low fidelity wireframe to a designer, so maybe high fidelity नबनाए पनि हुन्छ होला, because they have understood the basic concept of the application. तर हाम्रो clientहरू, because that is also part of a experience for हाम्रो as a designer, to make sure that the experience of our client, of our team members is also good. So हामीले त्यो skeleton wireframe देखाउँदा, त्यो low fidelity wireframe देखाउँदा हाम्रो clientले बुझेन भने, what is the point? The whole experience has not become fruitful, because client has to understand, they have to understand, or हाम्रो users have to understand, what is it that we're trying to make, what is it they're trying to solve. So which is why a high fidelity mobile frame is very, very important, so that we give a very realistic look-alike of the application that we are about to make. So which is why it's important to have that in place and not to skip that process. I hope I answered that question.
Yep, thank you, Sayandi. So next question is from Sandesh. So he asks, any resources or full courses that you recommend, or any like daily habits and routines for a UX designer?
Yeah, sure. I have a few links that I can share at the end of this sessions. So resources that dominates her, online. So that I will share. In terms of habits, I would say that um, every day, if we have a simple routine for ourselves and as a designer, which involves updating ourselves with technology ma ke bhairach cha, design ma ke bhairach cha, or just generally in the world knowledge ma ke bhairach cha. If you just, and this doesn't mean that we have to spend like 4 or 5 hours doing this. Just in the morning before you start your work, half an hour, just spend half an hour looking at what other people are doing, inspiration or line, news पढ्ने होइन, टेक्नोलोजीमा के भइरहेछ, डिजाइनमा के भइरहेछ, because this is a very fast growing field हो यो. This things change, new innovations are made almost every day, and it's difficult, and it can be sometimes challenging to catch up, but every day if we make a routine out of it, we become better at we have more knowledge, and we become better at भनौँ न, at looking at hambre design work in a much more objective way, because we know that अरू मान्छेहरूले के गरिरहेछ, what is it that we are lacking, so that way we can improve ourselves more. So which is why I would say it's important to have a routine, a very simple routine, nothing too complicated. Every day, ali garde, we have to keep improving ourselves, because this doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of practice, but if we are consistent and we are focused then it's easy. It's not hard work at all. I know then it becomes very easy. So I would say just a simple routine that a designer needs to follow every day, and that doesn't mean only with आफ्नो काम, आफ्नो client work मात्रै होइन, we have to work on ourselves and we have to be better at what we do. So त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एउटा simple routine every morning गरे भए it's much more helpful. And मैले inspiration linksहरू अलिकति tutorialsहरू चाहिँ I will share at the end of the session.
Thank you, Sandy. So we have so many questions, so I'll go one by one.
Okay.
Lucas asks, Leapfrog goes through all these steps in every project. So I will answer that for you. Yes, we follow every steps. And next question is from Prasanna, and she asks, I don't know if she's C or E, I'm really sorry. How did you get started in UX design, and what's the difference between UX and UI?
So UI UX difference के हो भने, UI is user interface होइन. So user interface भनेको चाहिँ how do I say it? So user interface भनेको चाहिँ the elements that you put on an application, which is your buttons, your typography fonts, or the colors that you use. So it's more on the mathiko part, where you are beautifying that application, भनौँ न, where you are using the right color, button or राम्रो color हुनु पर्यो. Your logo should be perfect. So this is called user interface. That's it's more on the graphical side, more on the designing side. But user experience or UX is your experience that a user goes through. So I will take an example again. Facebook example. Facebook मा चाहिँ पहिला what you do, you go on the Chrome or Safari को browser, you type facebook.com, त्यसपछि तपाईको home page खुल्छ, अनि you log in पछि you will see your home page होइन. So that is your experience you have from the time you've entered the name on the browser till the time you come on home page. That is your user experience, the experience that a user goes through when they are interacting with your platform. And so that is the difference. Your user interface UI is more on the graphical side. That's Facebook ले होम पेजमा माथि लोगो हाल्यो, त्यसपछि ब्लू कलरको लगइन बटन हाल्यो, त्यसपछि लगइन र पासवर्डको एउटा फिल्डहरू हाल्यो. That is your user interface. And so you're putting elements together of to make up that page. The user experience is the experience that a user goes through from the time they enter your application to the time they exit.
Yep. So just a follow-up question for that. Nista asks, should we learn UI first or UX?
You need to learn both. First, you're first त्यो भन्दा चाहिँ हुँदैन किनभने they go hand in hand. You need to learn both of them actually simultaneously because one can't do without the other. तपाईँले amazing user experience बनाएर तर तपाईँको UI नै it's not beautiful, it's not amazing enough भन्यो भने your user will not stay on your application for too much. But let's say you made an amazing application, looks very beautiful. It's like wow, like so amazing. But user experience is like the user can't find the login button. The user does not know कि यो item कसरी यसलाई pay गर्ने कसरी login मा हाल्ने भनेर. If the user is confused there, again the user is going to get frustrated and will not want to use your application. So it has to go side by side. Once.
Akash asks, as an intern, what skills should we have as a UX designer?
What skills you must have भनेपछि चाहिँ one is that UI UX चाहिँ definitely सिक्नु पर्यो. त्यसमा चाहिँ step by step लिने हो यो. So UI पहिला चाहिँ usually as a beginner हामी चाहिँ daily UI challenge गरेर हुन्छौँ जहाँ चाहिँ if you look up on internet Google मा हेर्नुभयो भने daily UI challenge. So every day there's a new challenge हैन. So one day it can be design a login page, or good day it can be design the shopping cart page. So every day there's a new challenge that they give you, and त्यो challenge गर्दा गर्दा चाहिँ you become better at at a UI versus. And also user experience ko लागि चाहिँ what I would say is interact with your app products, interact with your different mobile sites, कसरी मान्छेले गरिरहेछ, be observant, vigilant as to look at like maybe 5 different social networking sites, 5 different e-commerce sites. So when you look at different sites of the same domain, same industry, त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ it's easy for us for you to understand कि यसले कसरी गरिरहेछ उसले कसरी गरिरहेछ अनि it's easy, and then you can also implement that in your work, in your design. So I would say UX को लागि चाहिँ, and not just एउटा त आफ्नै directly आफ्नै mobile application, web application हेर्ने, अर्को चाहिँ day to day life मा also we have to be observant because हामीले mobile applications बनाउने भनेको नै we can take inspiration from our daily lives, from our daily, the way we do things. So I would say observation, vigilant, and just curiosity as to how things are done, how is how is an application made. HTML CSS को knowledge हुनु चाहिँ is a big plus. So definitely this आजको job description or आजको requirement मा चाहिँ as a UI UX coding HTML CSS is not a mandatory thing. तर त्यो knowledge हुनु भनेको चाहिँ it's a big plus to be on that project. So I would say HTML CSS को चाहिँ basic knowledge चाहिँ हुनै पर्छ, and that just is very helpful to understand कि मैले सोचेको यो idea र concept कतिको feasible हो, because म त design गरिरहेको छु, someone else is coding that usually. अनि त्यो coderलाई चाहिँ सजिलो हुनु पर्यो, because if it's not feasible, then your idea will not get selected. So in a way time पनि waste भयो. So practically if you think not just only in terms of emotionally, just in terms of design perspective, coderलाई पनि सजिलो हुनु पर्यो. So that way your teamwork also comes into that. So I would say these 3 things mainly.
Thank you. So next question that you didn't answer. So how did you get started in UX designer?
Okay. मेरो चाहिँ actually journey has begun. I come from a design background. मैले चाहिँ मेरो undergrad Bangalore मा गरेको हो. So I studied graphic design in my undergrad Bangalore बाट. अनि मैले स्कुलमा चाहिँ actually class 12 मा चाहिँ मैले psychology पनि पढेको हो. So So my journey actually started like that. मैले college पछि चाहिँ I worked in Bangalore for about 2 years in e-commerce platform, अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ got to learn a lot, अनि फेरि यहाँ आएर I joined Leapfrog. So with a design background and plus psychology पनि भएर मलाई चाहिँ सजिलो भयो, या the curiosity was always there हैन UI UX को प्रति. So yeah, so I've had work experience in India also, and now I have work experience ETA also. So it's been a pretty interesting journey. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Sai. So next question is, how can you make the brainstorming session more effective?
So effective बनाउनलाई चाहिँ मैले पहिला भनेको जस्तै ब्रेनस्टर्मिङ सेसनमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ आफूलाई चाहिँ रोक्नु भएन कि भनौँ न यु नो आई हेभ दिस आइडिया तर आई नो द्याट यो चाहिँ काम गर्दैन, यो दिस विल नट वर्क बिकज अफ XYZ रिजन्स, बिकज यु नो त्यो टेक्नोलोजी नै छैन अहिले, या हामी त भनौँ न एआई नै युज गर्दैनौँ, अनि त्यसरी चाहिँ इफ वी स्टार्ट लिमिटिङ आवर सेल्स हाम्रो सबै आइडिएसन ब्रेनस्टर्मिङको आइडियाजहरू पनि त्यसरी लिमिट हुन्छ कि. सो टु मेक इट इफेक्टिभ चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ टाइम बाउन्ड गर्नु पर्यो. सो लेट्स चाहिँ एज अ टिम हामी चाहिँ 30 minutes we will use as a 30 minutes हामी टाइम राख्छौँ. यो 30 minutesमा चाहिँ as much as ideas we can think of for this problem, we will list it down, या we will draw it, या we will look for inspiration picturesहरू. And हामी आइडिया खोज्दा चाहिँ we will not think of we will not limit ourselves कि भनौँ न यो प्रब्लमको लागि we will only think of यस्तो solutions, या we will only think of 5 solutions होइन. जति solutions we can come out, that is even better. Even if we think that it's not feasibly possible, we will still not hold ourselves back, and we will still generate ideas so that हामीलाई चाहिँ पछि त्यो सल्युसन्सहरू पिकअप गर्न, आइडियाजहरू फाइनलाइज गर्न चाहिँ इट बिकम मच मोर, we have a large variety of options, so it's much more easier for us. We have more options भनौँ न, versus like we just have five solutions each, and त्यसबाट चाहिँ solution निकाल्नु भनेको चाहिँ you're limiting ourselves, and that's not the way to go, because your ideation processes, your creative process, your creative juices are निकाल्नु पर्यो. This is the only part where you can really use your creativity into process. So त्यसरी चाहिँ we have to make full use of it. So effective चाहिँ time bound हुनु पर्यो, and secondly चाहिँ आफूलाई रोक्नु भएन, and we need to generate as much ideas as we can, so that we have a big pool of भनौँ न ideas in our hand.
Yep, thank you, Sain. So next question is from Milan. So he asks, is it possible to do all this process by one person? So he has seen many organizations, we have only 1 or 2 designers, and they go directly to prototype phase without knowing the full information about the project.
Okay. No, so the question is that directly jump गर्नु भयो कि भएन भनेर?
या त्यो पनि हो. अर्को चाहिँ एकजना मान्छेले मात्र यो सबै गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन भनेर.
एकजना मान्छेले yes, अलिकति च्यालेन्जिङ त हुन्छ है, when only one person is doing everything, तर न impossible पनि होइन, because हामी चाहिँ हाम्रो Leapfrogमा we are about a team of 25 people, and 25 peopleमा we have so many projects going on right now, client projectsहरू, that very rarely is that हाम्रो एक projectमा there is more than one designer. Okay, अब ठुल्ठुलो project हुँदा yes there are 2 designers, 3 designers होइन, तर usually standard मा चाहिँ there's one designer for one project, अनि त्यो designer नै सबै कुरा गर्दा हुन्छ. तर त्यो कसरी चाहिँ त्यसलाई चाहिँ to make it effective चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ क्लाइन्टसँग बसेर we plan कि भनौँ न यो स्टेप्सहरू गर्नुपर्छ, अब कसरी गर्ने हामी, because within 2-3 daysमा गर्न सक्ने कुरा होइन यो, it takes time. So हामी चाहिँ क्लाइन्टसँग बसेर we plan it out, so they also understand कि टाइममा चाहिँ यसरी हाम्रो टाइम चाहिँ यसरी गइरहेछ भनेर. So one person, it is possible for one person to do it, तर प्लान गरेर अर्गनाइज गरेर गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ it is very much possible to do it. अनि सेकेन्डली चाहिँ प्रोटोटाइप, there are designers who directly jump to prototype भनेपछि चाहिँ that is again not the best way to, not the best practice भनौँ न तपाईँको इन्डस्ट्री स्ट्यान्डर्डमा चाहिँ. सो डिजाइन थिङ्किङ इज एन इन्डस्ट्री स्ट्यान्डर्ड होइन. सो इन्डस्ट्री स्ट्यान्डर्डको बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिस चाहिँ we don't recommend that, because त्यसमा चाहिँ धेरै कुराहरू छुट्टिन्छ, त्यसमा चाहिँ धेरै कुराहरू the details, the interactionsहरू सबै छुट्टिन्छ, and we don't want that. We want it to be as detailed as possible. So I personally will not recommend someone to do that. And in terms of doing it by yourself, it's definitely possible. Already planning, already organization, it's definitely possible to do it.
Okay, thanks, Sain. So next question is from Rishikesh. So he asks, what do you wish you had known before taking your first UX designer role?
What did I know? Well, there's nothing really I would say that I wish I had known, because you come to this, especially for a beginner, right? I'm talking for a fresher and a beginner. You take on this job or this vanumna. You take on this job so that we learn, so that we can explore new things that we never knew existed. So त्यसरी चाहिँ I don't really say that there should be something that you should have known beforehand, except that definitely attitude wise, आफ्नो काम प्रतिको responsibility, so I would say soft skills in terms of communication, your काम प्रतिको towards your work responsible हुनु पर्यो, on time सकाउनु पर्यो, हैन आफ्नो टिम मेम्बरहरुसँग राम्रोसँग कम्युनिकेट गर्नु पर्यो. त्यस्तो कुराहरु चाहिँ I would say it's very important for a designer to work on, because as a designer in a company like Leapfrog, we are working with different departments. I know we are working with the project manager, quality insurance, back-end developer, front-end developer. We're working with many people. And when you cross collaborate like that, त्यो टाइममा चाहिँ तपाईँको teamwork, तपाईँको communication is very important, because everybody has to understand कि हरेक मान्छेले के गरिरहेछ, कति टाइम लगाइरहेछ यो टास्क सकाउनलाई. So I would say it's important to work on that, because तपाईँको UI UX skill is something that you will learn in the job. Yes, it's always nice to have alikati knowledge about UI and UX. There's endless information resources available online. There's no dearth of that. I would say soft skills is something that will come very handy, because skill matre तपाईको UI UX skill matre bhayera pugena, because we हाम्रो जस्तो कम्पनीमा चाहिँ it's an ever growing, ever demanding company हो. So yes, you have to be very good at what you do, but you have to be also good in other things like communication, leadership भयो, teamwork भयो, so these things are also equally important, because to work in a team you need to have these basic skills in place. So I would say that I would say work on your technical skills, but also work on your soft skills. The duita mix coming together will really help you, be better at what you do.
Okay, so this next question also from Milan. What are the best ways to follow this process and easy way? I know it's hard.
Process one, design thinking process.
Design thinking, I think.
Best way नै छैन कि, there's no best way. There is one process which I just talked about, तपाईँको 5 stages. So हरेक stage, those 5 stages have to be followed in everything that you do. There might be situations where you don't need to follow all five steps. Again, this is very situational. That are more often than not, we encourage everybody to follow the to follow the steps one by one and not miss any steps. Like how I talked about steps miss garda चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ little details, little कुराहरु we miss without even realizing that we missed it, until it's actually impact garcha from the way we design and way we create our application. So I would say let's try and not miss any of the steps. And there is no best way. There is the only way is to follow the process and to be better at it, to keep honing your skill, because this is something that will take time. Just because now our 5 stage that doesn't mean that we be expert at it. As a team, we all of us are still working on it. It's a skill that we have to keep refining ourselves. So it takes time, and the only way is to keep doing it consistently. And we will fail, we'll make a lot of mistakes. That's completely fine, because mistakes we're never going to improve. We're never going to know that we need to improve here. So let's not be afraid to make mistakes. Consistently and we definitely will become better at it. So that is the best way, actually. भन्नुपर्दा चाहिँ
Thank you, Shaheen. I think that with that we are end of our session. So like तपाईँहरूलाई चाहिँ डिजाइनमा इन्ट्रेस्टेड छ भने we do have a Slack channel, Slack community हाम्रो नेपालीज हु डिजाइन भन्नेमा. So you can join this. मैले लिङ्क पठाएको छु. So त्यहाँबाट जोइन गरेर चाहिँ you can ask questions and queries. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Shaheen. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining in. Ani like Vivek said, aru key questions or anything, any more tips you guys need, and please don't feel afraid to reach out to us. We're always there. And thank you for everyone for coming. I hope this session was fruitful, and we can again meet up and talk more. So that is not a problem. So please form bharera हाम्रो please join us Slack session also Nepalese who design bhanera that's we have all the designers in Kathmandu or Nepal right now. So yeah, thank you guys, thank you everyone.